Hey guys, welcome to my weekly PLL chat. I'm so glad that all of you can be with me here tonight. There's already so many people chatting in the room, and you guys have been for like an hour, some of you, so I totally appreciate that. Thank you so much. And if you haven't said hello so far to let me know that you are here, please do so in the chat box because I just want to know which one of my friends and new people are here today because you're all friends to me and you're all part of the PLL family. And I know we have some new people in the room tonight, and that is so awesome. So I welcome everyone. So let's get on into the chat today. And if you're new here, this is a 30-minute chat. We do this every Wednesday here on my channel at 6 o'clock Eastern. So I will just start off with something that I saw, which I think is reliable. I don't think it's made up, but one of the show's producers, Oliver, was talking about the whole Charles thing and the fact that the anagram spelled out Charles. And he was saying something along the lines, I wish I had it to look out now because I've kind of forgotten exactly what he said, but something along the lines of like, don't get too dedicated to this whole Charles idea or the fact that it says Charles. If someone has like the direct quote, maybe you know what I'm talking about, you can post it. But when I saw that, I started to think, oh my gosh, like, are they playing games with this again? Because we've discussed this whole thing about Charles, like here on this channel. Is he seriously uber A, big A, or is this like another red herring like they've tried to do with Toby and with Ezra? So I read that and I got like scared because I'm like, I don't want to be strung along anymore, and I know you guys feel the same way. So I just wanted to know if you have seen this quote from Oliver. His last name is like Gold something. I think he's one of the producers of the show. Let me know if you've seen it and what are your thoughts about it, because I just feel like everything they try to reveal in like season finales, they go back and they're like, wait a minute, we didn't really mean that, like when the new season starts. So I think that's super frustrating. And with reading that quote, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like they're going to do that again. So I'm going to look here and see who all we have in the room. We have Natty, Shalisa, Reagan, Megan. Thank you for loving the chats. I love when you are here. David, and so funny because Natty says that they love playing us for fools, but I'm getting kind of tired of being their fool. I mean, it's not like I'm going to stop watching the show because I've dedicated like so many years of my life to the show, but I'm just like, okay, do they realize that their viewers are not stupid? I mean, because they're starting to treat us like we are. If they go down this route and they're like, oh, wait a minute, Charles is not really anybody important, we just made that up, you know, that's really gonna annoy me, okay? I don't know. All right, so Shalisa says if Charles is not A, that would be disappointing, especially since Marlene posted a video saying that Charles is A. Yeah, I mean, I know she did. I don't know. But it seems like, I think they said that Ezra was, did they say he was A? I feel like they did, or they really led us on, and then they were like, wait, we don't mean that. I don't know. I feel like somebody in the, I'm so sorry, someone like on the show, back when all the Ezra drama was going on, when they were wanting us to think he was A, I feel like someone did an interview with like E or Entertainment Tonight, and they were like, yes, Ezra is A. And then like, and they're like, no, he's not. All right. Liz is saying, don't get too dedicated. Someone made 11 videos about that. I'm sorry, I don't really know what you mean, Liz, so kind of explain that to me. I think I'm reading that wrong, or there's some words missing or something. But Shalisa says she's tired of the games too. But like, how are you guys gonna feel if we watch like season 6 here in a couple of weeks and they start being like, oh, maybe they're gonna unmask Charles and be like, he's just some random guy. Like, we didn't really mean that. I don't know. I'm starting to get really concerned because I feel like they go down the same road like all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, we have this huge reveal, and then they'll do it for a season finale and they'll keep playing it up, and then like a couple weeks before the next season, they're like, you know, taking it back. Okay, so Natty has the quote. Thank you. It's Oliver Goldstick, and he said, the Charles identity, even though it becomes sort of like, who is this person? I think it will all make sense when they find the right door. Okay, that's not the quote that I read. I'm so sorry, because it's bad of me to be like, oh, let me tell you about this quote, and then I don't have it for you. I wanted to post the link, actually, and it would not let me post the link. So anyway, Reagan says maybe they mean don't get set on the De Laurentiis part. Oh, okay, all right. So I think Lauren was trying to give me the quote. That's what it said. Something like don't get set on the Charles thing. And I was just like, what? She says, Reagan says, maybe they mean don't get set on the De Laurentiis part, like he's involved with the De Laurentiises, but not related wise. Yeah, okay. And I think a lot of us have figured that out. Hey, Mary. A lot of us have figured that out, I think, or at least this is what I believe, that the whole twin thing is not real. Like, I don't think that Charles is Jason's twin. Honestly, I don't know if he's even his brother. So, yeah. And I'm sorry, and Natty can't find the direct quote, and I can't, but honestly, somebody posted it here that sounds really right. Like, let's see, Reagan's talking about getting set on the De Laurentiis part. It is something along those lines, but it scared me. David's like, if it's Mona again, he would love it. Like I've told you guys, if you've watched my videos or been in my chats before, I think that Mona is working with Charles, or she could possibly, yes, still be A and still be in control. I definitely think you can't trust her, and I think the whole thing she was doing at the end of season 5 was just kind of a game where she was acting like she was being controlled by Charles, because I just don't feel like she has that type of personality. Natty found the quote. Awesome. Thank you so much. And he said, first of all, don't settle that it's definitely the name Charles, because an anagram is an anagram. Yes, now that is it. What does that mean? What does that mean? So Megan says that Marlene said that Charles is not Jason's twin. Did she? I have her like in a list on Twitter. So if she said it there, I always try to keep up with her, but sometimes I do miss things, but I have her on a list so that I can like see her tweets all the time. So I see all of them. Okay. You know, it's funny because the ABC Family account, like on the night of the finale, they tweeted out something along the lines that, yay, like Jason and Charles are twins. And they like, you know, showed like 2 cartoon characters and something about them being twins. So it's like, I don't think that they are informed very well, like whoever runs the ABC Family like Twitter account, because they've tweeted several things that like don't end up being true. I don't think they speak to the producers of the show, to be honest. So if she has said that, then I missed it, and that's good to know, because I think that's how we were all feeling before she confirmed that anyway. But now that we know that the quote says, I'm gonna read it one more time, Oliver Goldstick, who is a PLL producer, first of all, don't settle that it's definitely the name Charles, because an anagram is an anagram. So let's talk about that. What does that mean? Is it supposed to be another name? Is A supposed to be another character who we know? Okay, Amy is saying something interesting. Maybe Charles is not his real name, seeing as we aren't meant to have seen him before. But then I thought they said we have seen him before, possibly. I know Marlene tweeted this because I saved it. Something like, you may have seen him before. Of course, she's saying may, so really, who knows? Natty says it's so annoying. Marlene said this in an interview, word for word, Charles is A. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, Charles isn't actually a person, will annoy me so much. You guys have no clue. I mean, there have been times with this show, and I am totally a super fan. You guys know that. But there have been times where every time they pull one of these things, basically, and I'm just like, wait, why am I still watching this show? And I hate to say that, but I'm just like, wait, they think I'm stupid, you know? So I don't know. Like, what's the point of all this troll stuff is if there is no point? Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So that, to me, is very scary. All right. Megan says we already know Charles. He's a different person in the show with a different name. I don't know. Are you sure about that? Because I might have missed another tweet again, but I just remember like Marlene saying the day after the finale that we could have possibly seen Charles before, or maybe, I don't know. So Shalisa says, I agree. Maybe Charles isn't his real name. Maybe it's a person we know who is being A in memory of Charles. Okay, now I like that. Or in revenge of Charles. Very good. That takes me to one of my theories, and one of, I'm sure, a lot of people's theories, and something I talked about in my Jason is Charles video, is that what if Jason is acting as Charles? What if Charles is dead? Let's not, I mean, they might not even be related, but somebody else could be, you know, pretending to be Charles, but then there's someone else to everyone else. Okay, if that makes sense. Reagan says, if A is someone we know and his real name isn't Charles, I hope we find out why he chose the name Charles. Yes, so do I. But have they not said that it is Charles De Laurentiis, or is that just something that fans have kind of made up? I mean, I know the anagram was just Charles, but I feel like that was kind of confirmed, but maybe it was just like in every like fan thing that I read. So I thought that was true. All right. Hey, Abigail, thanks for joining us. Liz says it has to be someone we already know. Otherwise, it would be so disappointing. I totally agree with you. If Charles is a random guy who we've maybe like seen in the background, but he's actually Charles and we don't know him, that's so annoying. But with this show, I just don't ever know what they're going to try to pull off, you know? All right. Liz says, I think the name Charles maybe leads us to the motive why A does all of that. Yeah, I mean, why pick this name Charles? Like, why, have an anagram for it if it's just random? Like, it has to, don't you guys think it has to be something? It has to mean something. I hope it means something. I don't know. Okay, Natty says that Mona's anagrams that Spencer found in her mirror said Charles De Laurentiis. Very good. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that Charles De Laurentiis, both names were somewhat confirmed. Now, again, this doesn't mean that Charles is Jason's twin or even Jason's brother. We don't know how that works out. So, could be a cousin, could be all kinds of different explanations for that. Could be adopted. The guy could be adopted. Abigail says the initial anagram of Mona said surname. Okay. So I don't know. Let's talk about your top suspects for Charles, assuming that Charles is the person we know, which we're hoping, fingers crossed. But I am still stuck on Ren and Ezra as top suspects. And I know several of you like my Jason is Charles video, which is on my channel if you haven't seen it yet. And I like it too. And there are some things that to me are very compelling. But when I compare that to my Ren and Ezra videos, I feel like they are more compelling. But I think I kind of am biased because I'm like dying to, for Ezra to be Charles, because I wanted him to be A since the beginning. So even though I like him, which is weird, or I did really like him, but then after him and Arya have had like issues, and after he was really, really weird with the whole writing a book about Allie, I kind of just, I don't know, kind of not like as into him. Natty says, I think Charles could either be Ren or Lucas. Yeah, and I still think Lucas is up there. I've had some people do or write comments. I did a Lucas is Charles video, and people will write me comments often, and they're like, Lucas is too young to be Charles. Well, how do you know? We don't know how old Charles is. A lot of us are assuming that Charles has to be Melissa's age because it was Melissa's prom he recreated, but that doesn't mean that. And honestly, Lucas could be older and he's been held back, and that's why he's still in high school. Who knows? Wow, this one's good. Megan thinks Eddie Lamb or Ren is Charles. That would annoy me if Eddie Lamb ends up being Charles, but at least we would have an explanation as to where Eddie Lamb went. And you have the Radley connection. Is there a theory circulating, or is that like your personal theory, Megan? Because I don't think I've seen facts to make a case about Eddie Lamb, but that's interesting to me. I think it would be a poor choice on the part of the show to make him Charles, but you never know because he's just such a minor character and he's been missing, but maybe that would be like, well, he's been missing because he's been Charles the whole time. Shalisa says we don't know a lot of Ezra's background totally, and his family is so weird and they have a weird relationship, and that's why there's just so many things to me that links him as being Charles. Megan says that her mom thinks it's Lucas again. And do you guys remember, I was just watching, I don't even know how old this episode was, but the one when he was like out in the water and he was acting crazy. I mean, he was really crazy, and that was a long time ago. I think he was with Hannah, just acting really weird. Okay, Sabrina, hey, thank you so much for joining us. That's awesome. Megan says that's her own personal theory about Eddie Lamb. I think it's interesting. I've heard a lot of characters be linked to Charles, but that to me is a new one. So I could almost see them doing that, to be real. Abigail says Charles may have just really liked someone in Melissa's year, overly obsessed or someone. Totally. Lucas is kind of creepy. Let's just be real. I could see him having some weird obsession with Melissa or someone because he's definitely had that weird obsession with Hannah and I think Allie. So you never know. Emma is saying Holbrook maybe. Yeah, I mean, they make it so, the producers make it so literally so many people could be A or Charles. So, but I think if they're going to end up making it like someone minor or someone way out there, they're going to really hear it from the fans. So as much as they could do that, like do they want to do that? That's what I would ask. And another thing that I want to ask, which I've read different things about that, do you think that, or about this, do you think that they have known from like day one who they were initially, or who they were going to end up making A/Charles, or do you think they keep reinventing it? What I think, because what I've read leads me to believe that they like keep changing it and that they really didn't know, which is weird, really weird to me. So Natty says, I think there could be a reason that Charles recreated the prom. I definitely think that's important. Yes. Maybe he wanted a different prom queen. Cece Drake was prom queen at Melissa's prom, and Charles changed it to Allison. That's so good. And I forget, like, how did I forget that Cece is Melissa's age? I didn't make that connection. I really like that. I really like that, Natty. Thank you for like pointing that out. Yeah. Okay. We know, yeah, Allie does look like Cece, and we know there's some stuff about Cece that we just don't know, and it's probably not good stuff. Rebecca says if it's Andrew, she will be fuming. So will I. And they've tried to kind of play him up as a bad guy in the last season, and I'm hoping that's just to throw us off. I do kind of feel like he's probably related to somebody, or he may be in the De Laurentiis family, but if he's Charles and Charles ends up being like Uber A, have you ever thought about this, guys? Have you ever thought that Andrew is going to be Charles, but they're going to be like, he was just working on the A team, but he is not the big A? I can see them doing that because I think they're trying to connect like the Apple farm and then the Campbell farm, and his last name's Campbell. I feel like they're trying to connect all of that, so he's like related to somebody. I don't know. So Liz is asking, what do I think will happen when the show after we find out who Charles is in 6B and season 7? Well, it depends on how they handle that. If they say Charles is Uber A, then I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, have they said that they're going to let everyone in on the secret of who Charles is? Like the girls are going to know and everyone's going to know, or is it just going to be the viewers? Because if it's just the viewers and they say he's Uber A, then I could see that we could start seeing stuff from his point of view and see how he does stuff, but the girls don't know who he is yet, which I think would be interesting. Or they could reveal him and like we've been talking about and be like, he's not Uber A, he's this person with this reason for doing it, and then I think they would just move on to something else at that point. So I don't know. Shalisa says she doesn't think the writers have known since day one. She says, I don't think they knew the show would be this huge. So now it seems like they're scrambling to create the true A. I agree with you. And that bothers me. Like, I feel like they should have had a game plan. And I think they did kind of have a game plan. And I think it was to follow the books. But then people started freaking out because they didn't want it to follow the books because they wanted to be surprised. That's what I think. Amy says the only reason she would not be happy if Ezra was Charles was because of the whole false A thing, just to take it back with the book, which I still think he's writing the book. And I still find it incredibly weird that he's doing that he was that obsessed with Allie to write that book. And I just still don't understand. Okay, sure, he's writing a book about the true crime story. Why does he need all these cameras? Why does he need that lair with all of that surveillance equipment? That was really out there for someone writing a book. Like, he's not a private detective. Like, he wasn't hired to figure out this mystery. Like, what are you doing? Doesn't make sense. Liz says she really wants to believe they had a plan when the show, or where the show would go all along, and that they have all the answers to our questions, but she has her doubts. So do I, sadly. So do I. Anna says she thinks they decided before season 3. I feel like they have probably decided several times, honestly. Abigail says she thinks every time people guess A, the writers change it. I would not be surprised, honestly. Anna says she heard that Arya had something to do with the dollhouse. Do you think that is even possible? There are so many people who think that she is Charles, or that she's working with him, or whatever. So I don't know, possibly. That would be kind of interesting in my opinion, but who knows? Reagan says if Ren ends up being Charles, it would make sense why Melissa called her mom on the dollhouse episode and Andrew was tapping her phone, possibly because Ren wasn't there and needed him to. Yeah, I mean, there's such a weird dynamic with Ren and Melissa, and I don't know why, we never see Ren. I know the actor is busy doing other stuff, but they even wrote him into an episode of Spencer going to London, and he wasn't even available for that, I guess, is what we're supposed to believe. I find all of that really shady. Megan says if Eddie isn't Charles, she's going to assume he died. Honestly, I've always thought he had died, and I kept waiting for them to, say where he was, and I thought he was probably in the barrel. And then they made it sound like there wasn't enough DNA to figure out who was in the barrel, like, ever. So I don't feel like we're ever going to know. And then I just started to think they're never going to tell us where Eddie is. They're just going to leave it there. That bothers me. So I don't think we should have to assume something about him. Either, tell us what happened to him, or tell us he died or something. That's, I don't know, it's kind of annoying. Megan asked, can I believe this whole time that A didn't know Arya killed Shayna? Good point. No. How did he not? Because A knows absolutely everything, which makes me wonder if Arya is involved, because who else would keep that a secret unless you were the one who did it, Good point. I like that. So Natty says she noticed that Charles always capitalizes the letter T. That is really interesting. Very good point. Natty is just like, she's finding it all today. We see him spell favorite with a capital T on Mona's package in the dollhouse. The Black Widow spells Bethany with capital T on the card for her funeral. Are they the same person? I don't know. So what does that mean, though? The only thing I can think of with T is Toby. What else? Am I missing something here? What is that significance? Is that something we can figure out, or do we not have the pieces for all of that right now? Rebecca says anything is possible on PLL, which I think we all can agree. I would feel bad, like, I've tried to get some of my friends into it, but at this, like, who have never watched, but at this point, like, I don't feel like I should do that to them, because there's so many episodes and it gets so confusing. And you know what I mean? Like, I would just be like freaking out if I had never watched it. I had to watch it like from the entire, the start. I don't know. Okay. Liz says she kind of thinks the book storyline is BS. I do too. I never really bought into that at all. She doesn't know if Ezra is A, but there has to be more to the story. Yeah, I don't understand. He had cameras set up outside his apartment. I mean, so much stuff about him. He had all that money that never really had a good explanation. Just doesn't add up. He's very, very shady. Shalisa says A knows Arya killed Shayna and kept it a secret because Ezra is A. Thank you. And they're working together, or they're not, but he has to protect precious Arya. Of course. Megan says she found out through spoilers that A didn't know. Oh, wait. Okay, I gave away a spoiler on here one time. I'm not going to read that. I'm going to stop because sometimes people don't want to hear those. So just know that there's a spoiler there. I just don't want to. Sometimes, a lot of times those end up being true, and I don't want to say that if you do not want to see spoilers. So I'm going to read it to myself. Okay. Sorry, Megan. All right. Amy says maybe Ezra is working with A to get a very interesting book. Possibly, but then he's gonna let everyone be tormented and not like say anything. Like, that's not cool. Natty says she just meant that they had the exact same handwriting. Okay, so Charles would have to fit into the Black Widow costume. That's definitely a girl. Definitely. But then someone told me, I think in the last chat, that it was completely confirmed that Charles or A is gonna be a guy, and they're not gonna do like the transgender thing. I don't know. I didn't read that myself, so I'm not really sure, but yeah, I mean, I've always kind of thought like Black Widow and all those people were like the same, like one and the same, but maybe they're not. I don't know. Reagan says she thinks it would be pretty interesting if A / Charles and Black Widow were the same people. That's what we've been talking about. Maybe he has a type of mental personality disorder and cross-dresses, plays with dolls, wears wigs. Okay, there you go. So maybe it's like he's not wanting to be a different gender, but he, dresses like a woman sometimes. Okay, so I can buy into that a little bit more. Abigail is saying, who is your, I think that's a typo. So let me know what you're saying there, Abigail, because I'm not sure. Are you saying next? I'm not sure. Not sure what you're saying there, so let me know. So, I don't know. I just know, like, I feel like time is going by faster, and I'm getting really excited because season 6 is going to be here soon. I'm hoping like we'll have answers. I'm concerned we'll have more questions, but at least, we'll have something new to go on. Like, that's kind of what I'm excited about. Andre says maybe Paige is Charles, okay, because we often saw her dressed like a boy. So she could be Charles and Black Widow. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. I like that a lot. And hello, Andre. So it's okay, Abigail, asking me if I know who my next theory video is. I haven't decided. I mentioned this in the last video, but as we're getting, I've done like 4 now. And as I'm going through the suspects and I've been looking into, that's okay, Abigail. I've been looking into a few other people. I still want to do a TED video. I've been looking into the CC theory and Arya. And I'm trying to, like, I want to do compelling videos. So I don't want to make a video on someone if I don't feel like there's enough stuff out there. So I'm still kind of looking for stuff to support that. So I'm not totally sure. I don't want to commit to something yet. If I can find enough on one of those people like Cece or Arya or maybe somebody else, if I could think of somebody else that I really think is compelling, then I hope to do that like tomorrow or Friday. But, you know, at this point, I feel like the main people have been covered, but I don't know. So we'll see. Okay, Sabrina says she thinks the barrel was planted by A on purpose to throw them off and put the liar's attention on that while A was doing something else because the detective said the contents of the barrel could be an animal or a human. Yes, I feel like that storyline is over, and they also said DNA was inconclusive, so I don't think they're going to even go back to that. I think that's a great way to explain that, Sabrina. I like that. Okay, Megan says, to back up Andre, who just made a post, one reason Paige could be Charles is because remember the episode where Ezra gets shot by A. Remember the part where the person in the black hoodie fell? As that person falls, we hear a scream, and the scream sounds like Paige. Okay, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. I like your thoughts there. Shalisa says she thinks that the barrel plot line was just to drag the story out. Yeah, I kind of think it was a waste. She doesn't think anything significant will come of that, unfortunately. I don't either. I think that we all got really excited, and they really hyped it up, and we were like, who is in the barrel? And I think they even like hashtagged that on Twitter, or what's in the barrel. And yeah, and then we didn't ever find out. Kind of typical of PLL. Abigail's asking for an Arya and Ezra team. You know what? I like that because I think I can include more stuff that would actually make sense. Because with Arya right now, I'm having some trouble making enough for a video that's real and not a stretch, you know, because I don't want to like make crazy things that are stretching it out. Okay. Amy's asking whatever happened to Vardak. Now I'm thinking that Vardak was also a distraction. Oh my gosh, it is 6:27. I can't believe how fast this is going. I don't know. What do you guys think about Vardak? I feel like that's another like crazy thing to get us all excited just to go away. Okay. Nancy's asking about me getting a Tumblr. Yeah, that's definitely something I could look into. I've definitely been on Tumblr before and I like it. I just didn't make an account. So, I should do that. And because, you know why? Because I know why I've been on Tumblr. I'm like, why have I been on there? Because I read like theories and all that, and I love that. So that's a good idea. And if I get one, I will start posting it in my links. So you guys can follow me there. Abigail is convinced that A is a team of main characters. I think that would be really cool. I could totally buy into that. Natty says she would love to see a Toby Spencer A team video. Okay, yeah. Okay, those are 2 good ones. I like the team idea instead of just one person, because you would not believe how hard it is for just one person as we get like on into extra people. You know, the ones I've done were pretty compelling, but it's like, you know, it's getting difficult. Okay. Arya's connection, this is Reagan talking. Arya's connection, maybe in fact that Byron's brother Scott, who has the mental illness, is Charles and Bethany's father, making Charles and Arya cousins, which makes me think Ren and Arya. That's a lot. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, wow. Have we met Scott before? I don't remember if we have. Megan says in one of the episodes, Arya was on the computer at school and she checked her emails. When she checks her email, we see something about a fence, and I think it was for the dollhouse. Yes, I've seen that floating around on the internet. Yeah, why was she looking up at fences? I mean, I think it would be so cool if Arya ends up being part of this A team, or if she was in on it with Ezra. That would be awesome. Like, I would totally love that. Quickly, I just want to tell you, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me on YouTube so you will not miss any of my videos. Also, follow me on social media. Those links are down below. Kelly_TV is my Twitter. I always let you know when I have a new video up and when a chat is coming up. So if you're on Twitter, follow me there so you don't miss that, and I'll follow you back. And Instagram and Facebook are also below, so I would love to have you follow me and stay connected until season 6 starts, and even while season 6 is going on. And quickly, Megan is saying Arya needed to build a fence. Why? Yeah, I don't know why. That's a good question. Also, there's a fence outside the dollhouse. Yes, and they played that song "Don't Fence Me In" the very end of the finale. And she thinks that Arya helped Charles make it. That could also explain the picture of the mannequin family in her room. I like it. Yes. Natty says, I think this whole thing is going to be much simpler than we think. Probably. I think we've all obsessed over it. And by all, I mean all the PLL fans in the world. And I think we've really overthought it. But maybe I'm wrong, because I want them to really put a lot of thought in it and like really shock us. That's what I hope for. And Tam, what's up, Tam, thinks that Pastor Ted is related to A. I definitely think he's involved somehow. So it's time to go, and I just want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me and hanging out tonight. I so appreciate it. It's so much fun. I love you guys. This video will be up probably in 15 minutes, so if you are just catching me now, you can always comment, and I will go back and respond to anything you didn't get to ask me. So I will see you guys next week, same time, same place. So have a wonderful night or day, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.